that's not good. We stopped moving. Don't worry. I'll handle this. Okay, yeah.
Hello?
Hello, we are in elevator cab 3 and we are stuck between floors 5 and 6. You need to send help ASAP.
Elevator?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess all we can do is wait it out. Are you okay? Yeah, this is just the first time I've ever made eye contact with anybody in an elevator. Okay. It feels so wrong. Hey boss, I'm running a little late. Yeah, the elevator.
This is Mongolian Mindset, and today we're going to be typing Frank James. We'll be ending the tireless debate on whether Frank James is an INFJ or an INFP. Okay, we'll be using Linda Barrens Interaction Styles and Temperament combined with cognitive functions. We will be dropping a link so that you can, we have broken down all of the interaction styles one at a time with examples. We also will be dropping a link to the cognitive functions breakdown. I believe they are the best online, period. That's the reason why I think a lot of people mistype people, because they don't really actually understand the functions properly. So, yeah, we'll be doing Frank James today, and we'll be comparing what they have over at Personality Dummy Base. Okay, so Personality Dummy Base has Frank James as an INFJ. Okay, so let's go check the chart here. INFJs are direct, responding, abstract. I call it global interest, journey focus, or they really care about getting enrolled into a process. TIFE and SENI. If he meets those metrics, we'll go ahead and call him INFJ. We'll also be verifying against INFP because people believe that he is an INFP. So we'll be looking at that. And guys, you really want to get out there and join our Discord. The Discord is really taking off. You want to be able to say you got in there early. Okay. The goal of the Discord is to have the most accurate and best MBTI group, period. And guys, we're still doing our free type of sessions by us, and I do believe we are the best. All you have to do is join, subscribe to the channel, and join the Discord, and click one of the tabs that say type in, request a type in service, and we will get back to you. The mods over there are doing wonderful things. So yeah, and it's a perfect time to a perfect place to be able to reach out to me. I'll answer any questions I can to the best of my knowledge. And as you know, if you follow me, you know I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I think, the sources where I got it from, what's my thinking behind it, all of that. So that comes just from me. You know how we don't duck, dodge anything, okay? So highly recommend you guys join our Discord. And yeah, so let's get into this. And comment below what you think Frank James' personality type is. If you like his content, I think his content's it's pretty good. He's the biggest MBTI YouTuber. I don't really watch his stuff because I'm a big information type guy. I'm like, is the information correct? Is it the best? Like, that's more of my thing. I'd rather just read the sources. But I mean, he's getting it more known out there, so I respect the guy.
Hey, welcome to another typology interview. We have Frank James. How's it going, Frank?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Fantastic. I think there's two questions we need to get out of the way before we start. So first thing, what's the deal with your hair journey, and where is it going in the future?
Hair, so I had been growing it out before, and once you start, you feel like, I put so much time into this. It's a sunk cost fallacy,
All right, so he's talking about starting there. So he's talking about once you start, what type's going to have a little bit of trouble starting? That's going to be your finishers, man.
And so now I quite like it short. So I think I'm going to keep it short. I'm not growing the beard out, at least until, some major terrible life event happens. But
all right.
Yeah, I think I'm settled for a while.
All right. Okay. Sorry about that one. Then the other one is,
I'm glad to clear the air with it.
All right. Yeah. Then the other question we need to clear the air with is, did you ever get used to using the new Google?
I did eventually. Yeah, I might have overreacted. Might have. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I got it. It was a satire video. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. The Google, the Gmail redesign, I was so angry when I first saw it, but then, you just have to use it. There's no way around it. So
yeah. Right.
I battled through.
Yeah. Cool, man. All right. So you haven't officially been typed in OP, but like I'd like to talk about your type anyways, your channel and sort of maybe your history and typology and stuff. So yeah, let's start there. Where did you start typology? When did you get into it?
It was just a couple years ago, and some friends threw around. Apart from me, some friends were talking about it. Somehow
So off rip, when he recants the memory, what is he talking about? Talking about what other people are doing in the memory, not what he was doing. Well, some friends were. So we're gonna hit him for SE there, guys. We're gonna hit him for SE.
came up in the conversation, and they said, "We think you're this type." And I was like, okay, I don't care. And but it was like in the back of my mind still. I was like, I wonder what this personality type stuff is all about. And, just went to one of the infamous online tests and came up INFJ just like everyone else. And then when I asked my friends, what type did you think I was? They were like, oh, INFJ. So that correlation, I guess.
Right.
That was what made me think maybe there was something to it. Because when I got the result online, it didn't really faze me much. I was like, okay, I guess it seems like me. So, but then I just started to get more into it, mostly through YouTube, I think, looking at other YouTubers.
SE some more. I mean, you could hit him for TE where he was talking about what other people think here, but I'm really not feeling it. I'm not really feeling that, because basically what he's saying there is his journey, because that was pretty much his journey to finding his type. His friend said something. He said, "I don't care." It was in the back of his mind. He looked at it. He got a score, and then they said it, and then it correlated together. And he said, "Oh, it might be something there."
Who talked about INFJ stuff, especially Tom Davison was one of my favorites. And that kind of inspired me to want to do YouTube stuff in a similar vein. And just through that,
talking about what he wanted to do, that's NI there.
Doing YouTube about that sort of like led me into learning more about it. So you can tell when you watch my earliest videos, it's kind of iffy, like what I'm talking about. But then around a little over a year ago, that's when I stumbled on Dave Superpower's channel and got heavily into that.
So he's going through the journey of all of this here. This is all journey, the process of, how everything went. He's going through the process here.
Like what I'm talking about. But then around a little over a year ago, that's when I stumbled on Dave Superpower's channel and got heavily into that, and then eventually started taking the objective personality classes. And so now I'm fully initiated, and once it gets in your mind, you can't stop thinking about typology. So
right, yeah.
So I'm lost.
Yeah. So like, what was the idea behind your YouTube channel? Just getting out INFJ stuff, or?
Yeah, at first. Well, I mean, yeah, if you kind of look at it, at first it was sort of just like more straight up vlog type stuff, just talking about stuff that was going on in my life, and trying to connect it to typology in a way. I guess I don't know, because it's at that time, not knowing that much about it, I was resonating with what other YouTubers were doing in that vein.
Talking about what other YouTubers were doing. That's SE again. Okay, go back.
Resonating with what other YouTubers were doing in that vein. And I thought, if I could somehow connect it to a broader thing, because there's not much point, I think, in making vlogs about what's going on in your life or how you feel, because why would anyone care? But if you can connect it to a bigger thing.
You're talking about the interests here. Okay, you're talking about interests.
I was like, people might relate to this if they, if maybe everyone else is going through the same thing.
Right.
And that's where it went from there. And then once I started to learn.
This is all journey, man. This is all fucking journey. Okay, this is all journey focus here. This is all fucking journey. Go back so you guys can fucking get this
vlogs about what's going on in your life or how you feel, because why would anyone care? But if you can connect it to a bigger thing, I was like, people might.
Man, he's talking about connecting things to bigger things. You could say that's abstract, okay?
Relate to this if they, if maybe everyone else is going through the same thing.
Right.
And that's where it went from there. And then once I started to learn more about typology, then I was like, I should probably start teaching this as well. It's just like a natural thing to want to make videos that were more teaching oriented.
Right.
And less so just talking about, the bar I went to last night. So
yeah. That's like, so you see that as blast savior too, that like you have like your first default mode is just go and talk about what you have on your mind and stuff.
Yeah. There's one thing that Dave said once that was like a blaster is the kind of person who learns something for 5 minutes and then wants to teach an hour-long lecture on it. And I was like, oh crap, that's so so basically as soon as it's like very little consuming to begin with. It's just like I pick up something and I'm like, oh, I got it, and then I can like extrapolate that out further.
Right.
So that's how it kind of snowballed. And so now I've like branched out.
Talking about snowballing, like you say, that's the progression journey yet again.
I still talk about typology because that seems to be like kind of a lightning rod way to get people's attention.
Right. And still talks about typology because of the interest behind it. Okay, interest.
But I still enjoy talking about personal development in general. And stuff like that. Now I've started to do comedy videos because that seems to be, I enjoy doing comedy, I enjoy acting. So, and it's a big hit. So
yeah, one of the things I see in your videos is there's lots of energy dominant information. Like you're very playful and like you were typed as play last and with basically info dominant. And so how did you figure out how to do that energy dominant stuff?
It's something you have to like turn on, so that is a good question. I mean, I think because I have a background in theater, so it's kind of just a thing I've learned over time how to like turn it on,
Things I've learned over time, journey yet again, the process, the progression to things. Wow.
For the camera.
Right.
And I mean, in real life, people who know me in real life know that I'm not playful at all. I'm like no fun, basically. So it's something you learn over time. Also, if you watch my earliest videos, I am like
about learning over time. He's talking about his earlier videos. He's talking about the journey again.
So it's like so much sleep energy, and it's embarrassing to watch now. So. Having to edit myself and watch myself so much, I realized that it's just the YouTube thing you have to do. It's like you have to come at people with some level of energy, even though I'm still pretty low energy in my videos. I've learned to like pump it up a bit, and it's a bit of acting. That's what it is, yeah.
And lots of creativity too. Like
what we could take from that is this guy's pretty responding. Okay, so. Taken from that, we got responding, a lot of SE, we got journey, we got some interest, we got some abstract. Yeah, it's looking like Frank James and INFJ, guys.
I don't think I've seen it done anywhere else where maybe other people did it, but where they're just like, okay, here's the commercial, and you time it out perfect. It's like attention to detail.
Yeah. I think, that's the thing is it's like when you're doing, I forget if I tried first without drawing attention to it, but it's like people in the comments were like, oh, I really didn't like that.
What people are doing in the comments, let's see some more, what people are doing.
When the commercial scared me. And I don't like it either. When you're watching a video and it's like mid-sentence, it cuts off to a commercial for Grammarly or something. So, so I just felt like for the flow. Here, though. Right, yeah. So I just felt like for the flow of videos, it is just it's more courteous to the viewer.
Yeah.
The heck
interest of the viewers are yet again
commercials coming at you. And what makes me laugh is that I get comments all the time that are like, how did you know when the commercial was going to be? And it's like, I placed them. It's when you see YouTubers who have commercials in random spots, they did that.
Oh,
yeah. So I get to pick when they are. And if I wanted to, I could put like 10 commercials in a video, but I feel like that's overdoing it. So. Yeah. So cool, it's just for the flow, trying to be courteous, trying to warn people so that they don't just feel like, oh, he's taking advantage of me by,
talking about what people feel. That's FE. He's been saying I think a lot as well. He's not, if you see here, Frank James is not referencing other people really. It's just him, He's not referencing, he's not name dropping as much. I mean, he name dropped Dave Superpowers early on and maybe one other guy, but overall, dude, we're not getting fucking INFP, dude. Like, there's a huge difference between an INFJ and an INFP. It's not even fucking close. It's not even fucking close. I mean, like it's almost like you got to choke an INFP out to get them on camera. They are I'm telling you right now, if somebody messages me on there like, hey Mercer, I don't know if I want the video on YouTube, blah, 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 all this other shit, I know straight up this person's most like an INFP. Straight up. I know for a fact. We, like, me, Thomas, and Shelley were like, oh, this fucking INFP. Like, you gotta like fucking choke them out to get them to get on camera. It's like, yo, listen here. Okay, I need you to get out of your little any world and into reality for a little bit. Find out your personality type. I promise you we won't hurt you.
Putting a commercial, randomly.
Yeah, you're putting also you're adding in like little skits and things like that they don't have to do with information, just to jazz up the content. So like it's pretty impressive that you're able to do that as an info dominant, like that you take the attention, the care to do that. I guess it's your FE maybe.
Well, yeah, I think, also it's like the information still is kind of, in a way, what it's all revolving around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like these recent ones that I've done that are kind of more parodies, like the 16 personalities doing whatever sketches, it starts with like a lot of thinking of like, well, what actually do these types, it's like, what do these types do? And then how can I blow it out to this kind of absurd stereotype? And, actually, the objective personality classes have helped a lot with like picking up on all of those anecdotes and stuff.
Right.
So, I don't know. I guess you could say, in a way, it's like the energy is serving the information.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Energy serving the information. I mean, you're talking about the revolving information. We're going to hit them for abstract again.
Yeah. Because, if you get across the information in a not fun way, who's gonna watch? Who's gonna enjoy it? Yeah.
Cool, man. So let's talk about your functions. That's cool. Talk about them a bit.
We can try.
All right. Well, let's tell us a little bit about your NI. Like, this is your main.
All right. So here we're gonna be seeing is what he's saying mentioned up with NI. Okay. We have our hardcore examples of NI broken down. You got between me and Thomas, we're talking about it. Absolutely wonderful video. Highly recommend you pick it up or watch it, especially if you want to understand what NI is and how to recognize it within other people.
Yeah, well, I would say, it's really, I'll be honest, because I feel like you don't hear this very often in these interviews, but I have a difficult time seeing the functions in myself. And it's only kind of like slightly in retrospect where I'm able to say, oh, I was like really hardcore trying to control all of this stuff, So that's what, most in general, I can see it when I am trying to over control situations. And even though I would, if I were to go into this with my brain wiped clean and
I think somebody could say, oh, he's talking about control here and slapping for outcome. We'll put a point down just to be fucking fair. But I mean, this guy's clearly journey focused.
Just learn the OP method. I might type myself differently,
I see. Yeah.
Because I really see I feel like I see more of the extroverted sensing because I'm like, I know that I mess up at it. So I'm like always trying to keep a.
So right here he's talking about SC inferior, okay? And the inferior function is, something you are aware of that you suck at, and you're just trying to either hide it or you're trying to embrace it. What do you do? You can see a lot of people, a multitude of people just try to run away from it. Like I've talked about, you'll see INTJs trying to do the fucking most research they possibly can to minimize using the smallest amount of fucking SE. I'm like, not kidding. Okay. So he's talking about that here.
An eye on all the
I
details.
I talked about my friend Jerry. Like he does all these different odd jobs so that he could get away from TI inferior. Okay. So he doesn't have to think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I can sort of catch glimpses of that organizing function up at the top. And I think you can also see it kind of in the tidal waves of like, oh, I've ignored all the sensory stuff for a long time, and now it's coming to get me. Right. It's coming to get me to pay my dues. And yeah, so that one is definitely kind of a difficult one to see.
But like, you seem like you're doing okay.
Like, everybody seems to have a big trouble with talking about what NI is, but basically, man, it's the vision, man. It's the vision. It's the vision. The vision you have for yourself, the vision you have for others. Not others, but the vision you have for yourself, the things you want, the things that you want to make happen. It's your fate, your future, where you're going, things of that nature. Okay. People really struggle with that. You'll see a lot of NI users. They will talk about they visualize something 10 years before it happened, or they visualize a certain trend, or they saw a trend using NI and they were able to take advantage of it. Things of that nature. We talked about Kobe, and he's talking about, when he was a small kid, he was visualizing what he needed to do step by step to become the best basketball player at a certain age. And by 12, he was the best in the state. So these NI users can, forecast things they need to do way before before most people pick up on it. Sometimes you look at like people like Kobe, and the guy was so seeing so far ahead, where he was like, most people at a certain age was only dribbling with one hand, but he made sure that he focused on dribbling with the opposite hand so that he wouldn't get caught up where most people got caught up. And that is some NI where you can forecast what's gonna happen and you're planning for it. That's some INTJ shit for you there. But let's see what Frank James says.
With the sensory, like especially with like all your hair stuff, like I guess
also like when it comes to like refinement, like NI usually gonna refine down on things. Okay, so let's see what he says.
You were struggling with it for a while, but now like you've decided I'm gonna keep it like this, my hair. And then
yeah.
Like you have like decorations in your room, I see as well. Like you're paying attention to it at least.
Yeah, and it definitely has to. It takes a bit of effort. It's like because for a few I don't know, 2 months after I moved in here, like this room was totally bare, and I was like, why? What is the point of putting up things? And then I guess I realized, like for videos especially. Yeah, it's for myself too, because there's stuff on other walls that you never see in videos. But right. I was like, I gotta spruce this place up so it looks pretty. Mm-hmm. I had to tap into some of that SF popularity to make sure that it looked like a good product.
Right.
Like this is the set design sort of. And it's not that amazing, but it's like something interesting to look at, something to grab the eye a little bit, so it's not just me and nothing.
As a lead NI, do you feel like everything is connected in some way? Like there's some connection with it and everything has the same sort of basis to it?
Yeah, I guess, well, now that you bring that up, I will say that I've always had this, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe this tendency or this drive to bring everything into like one unifying concept.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that is NI. Okay. That is NI, guys.
Like everything about life.
If he was NE, it would be opening things up. Okay. It'd be opening it up while he's driving it down. Like what I said earlier, refining.
Right.
Or at least as few concepts as possible, and to be like, oh, everything revolves around this one thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is,
say for instance, like NI user will watch a movie and they'll walk away with one overarching theme of that movie. Boom. Like, okay, this is what that movie means. Okay, this is the lesson behind this movie. This is the lesson behind that TV show. This is the refined all the way down.
Is also kind of when I can catch it is when I look back and I realize that that's always been a thing with me, is wanting to use that funnel to really get things down into the simplest possible pattern. Yeah.
Simple and most popular pattern there. You hit up for NI and abstract again. I mean, it's pretty obvious here.
Yeah.
Do you also feel like you're able to plan for the future a lot? Like, is that what you're spending most of your time doing as well, thinking about what's going to be? And
yeah, definitely. I'm always thinking about the future, but in some ways I feel like, I don't know, I feel like everyone thinks about the future, but it's hard to know like what is normal, just what everyone does, and then where you are, a freak, you know. So there is a lot of forward-lookingness with me, and I think that's always caused this like low-level anxiety all the time. So I don't know that I always am like the stereotype of thinking 10 years down the road, but it does enter my mind, quite often, several steps in it ahead.
Right.
Talking about several steps ahead, steps would be process, progression. So you're always seeing the little steps here and there, And you say future focus, you get them for abstract.
Right. Do you find that like anything actually goes according to plan, or they're just like up in the air plans that you plan on and they don't actually happen? Or are you hitting those milestones?
They can be a bit nebulous sometimes, they can feel, the plans I often make are very, I don't know, they're very specific and I see them, but a lot of times it's bringing them into reality that can be a bit of a struggle, or like dealing with the process. Like you have this one big goal.
Going back to the process again, going to the process, the journey, and abstract.
Out there, and you have to do all these little things up to it, and that
talking about the little things you do up to it. That's the journey, the process, the progression, the movement. He's talking about that. Okay, this guy keeps going back to this.
Me up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I like to live there in that place in the future in my brain, but
actually doing the work to get there, the SE day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. And also it's also not just doing the work. What it is when you realize that you have a lack of knowledge in an area that you need to know in order to get there.
And then a good way to like enhance your NI a lot of times is to use symbols, right? So like you can have quotes or whatever that you read daily, or you got have magazines of people that you want to look like. It's the ability to transform yourself. So you really want to be hammering that. If you really want to bring that NI, like you really want to like have a symbol or something that you look at. Maybe it's something you say to yourself every day at a certain period of time, but it's something in that symbol that brings it out in you. And that can help you bring out your NI to be better. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm a fucking monster with NI. I don't give a fuck.
It's like, oh no, I've got to gather all this stuff. I've got to suddenly, I'm like purposefully going out of my way to use OP language. Like for instance, I want to eventually do some more business kind of stuff related to my channel, and I'm like, well, in order to do that, I've got to like make a website, and that.
See, as soon as he starts thinking about it, it starts laying out the process to his brain. Like he is always seeing the steps to the things. Like he believes that if he builds the best process, he will get the fucking results. His brain is a slave to the process. Okay. I mean, we really been going after the process to like really beat this shit dead, so that people will see that this guy is not outcome.
Intimidated me for a long time, because it's like I don't.
And that's the reason why a lot of finishers can be intimidated to start things because their brain automatically sees the steps and they're like, oh my God, this is going to be a bitch, right? Because I'm about to do X, Y, Z, 3, 4, 5, 10. Shit, this shit might take 6 months. This shit might take 2 years. You know, so they're like, man, I don't even want to start this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you'll see like when Dario starts talking about the process and shit, and then like, God damn, Dario, like there's 100 steps before you even get somewhere. So like we said here, this guy keeps going back to it. We're not forcing this here. This guy's process focused. This guy's an INFJ.
Really, I've made a few dopey websites before, but right. I don't know how to make something that is going to help, promote me. And it's like all of these things I've got to learn in order to then.
So you keep going back to the process of it.
Execute.
Yeah, it's a bit overwhelming. Yeah.
To execute.
Yeah, and so I'm at, it's like at this place where I don't. I put it off. I keep putting it off, and because I know
keeps putting it off.
That
finisher.
It's going to force me to take in new information, and I would rather just find a way to skate around it with what I know already.
Right. Yeah. That's also like really tough for a single observer to deal with like the thing, doing the thing, and
Yeah, and then in some ways it's interesting because I have play last, but and they Dave and Shan often talk about like how instead of consuming new information, you could play energy it where you're just like trying to get what other people did, and I find that I often do that, like rather than wanting to like, I'll do both, but a lot of times rather than read an article about like how to make a website, I'd rather just ask some people who did it.
Like, I'd rather just ask some people. That's SE there. That's hardcore SE too. Let's just ask some people.
Well, what did you do?
What did you do? Okay, that's SE there. Okay, what did you guys do? I'd rather not read the TE. I'd rather just use SE. Obviously, he's got TE trickster.
To make a website, I'd rather just ask some people who did it. It's like, okay, what did you do? Can I just
SE? What did you do?
Can I just replicate what you did?
Can I just replicate what you did, SE?
And I don't know, because that's sort of play energy, but in a way, it's also consuming just through a person.
Right. That's kind of what play energy is sometimes too. Yeah. Do you think it could be maybe play above consume or?
All right. I don't really follow OPS, so I don't know what the fuck they're talking about here.
Consume above play is more.
I think play last is definitely the that resonates with me. So
okay.
Consume last doesn't really. I've thought about it, and I could be.
Yeah.
I can be kind of a know-it-all, but I think more likely would be
know-it-all. Why do NI strong people get called know-it-alls? Because NI is the knowing function, okay? Knowing, okay? You will get termed a know-it-all. People call me a fucking know-it-all all the fucking time and get upset with me. Bro, it's just who I am. It is what it is. I am a know-it-all. It is what it is.
More likely would be play last, but I'm not entirely convinced 100% of anything, so.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What about your FE? Are you aware of that at all? Are you aware of how you use it?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. What I've realized is that, at least the way that I am seeing it, is that a lot of times it's sort of like
I'm seeing it. So he's talking about his TR.
Surveying the room to inform me of what I should do. It's maybe, I don't know. It doesn't always seem so direct as how they explain it as I need to get 10 people's approval before I can make a decision. It's sort of like approval in a oblique way where I'm like trying to read, would they
approve of this?
So like what he's doing here, he's breaking it down for him. He's not breaking it down using the definition that other people are saying. He's breaking it down using what he has observed and what he thinks. This is TI yet again. Let's go back. Let's make sure we hammer this shit home.
Of like surveying the room to inform me of what I should do. It's maybe, I don't know. It doesn't always seem so direct as how they explain it as I need to get 10 people's approval before I can make a decision. It's sort of like approval in a oblique way where I'm like trying to read, would they,
would they approve of this? Yeah.
Would they approve of this? But I do often, but before I make decisions, I'm like, I got to make sure that people think this is good, like people like, and I've also noticed that a lot of times, even when I ask more of a TE question, like, what do you think about this? What I'm really looking for is an emotional response. Like if they give me more of a logical answer, like what do they actually think of how it works? I'm like dissatisfied. But if they're like, oh my gosh, I love that idea, then I'm like, okay, that makes me feel better about doing it.
That makes me feel better because you feel excited about it. That's FE. Okay, that's FE.
And so it is interesting because they talk about how TE and FE are actually way more similar than people realize.
Right. Yeah.
And I found that too, because even when it seems like I'm doing TE and like trying to figure out what works for everyone else, in a way, it's more of like working on an emotional level.
Right. See? It's all about the emotional level. Like as opposed to myself, I just give a fuck if it works or not. Don't care about how you feel a lot of times, and a lot of times that could be my hang up on a lot of things. Like I have to be told, like, Mercer, you making us feel bad, or Mercer, like you going too far or something. I ain't reading it. I ain't reading it. It is what it is. Somebody gonna have to tell me. I've worked on a little bit better now that I've created like processes or systems in places to where I say, you know what? Let me check around before I do this because in the past things ain't go too well for me. So I got to start thinking about doing this a better way, But I've been dinged about that shit my entire life, and when things come to a pinch or like something happens and I can't like go through that understanding, your feelings about to get fucked. Your feelings about to get fucked. I tell you straight up, if you catch me in the moment with the worst that I can ever be is in the moment with FE. Like it's dead. It is like it's about to be abysmal. Straight up abysmal.
I can see that a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, are you aware also of like the spectrum of feelings? Like aware of all the different kinds of feelings there are and who might be feeling what, and if this person's not feeling appropriate for the situation and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when I am in a group social situation, I'm looking around to see how engaged everyone is, and I can usually tell when someone feels left out of a conversation, and I'll try to
about when people feel left out. That's FE, and now it's looking around. That was SE. Okay. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not looking around to see if people feel left out. I'm just trying to make sure we get the job done. I'm trying to make sure that things are productive. All the other Jimmy Jazz shit, it doesn't really bother. It doesn't. I don't really care about.
Pull them in, but I think I don't know. Sometimes it also feels like it doesn't feel like my first responsibility to do that. To be like the lifeguard of a social situation. It is like a definite awareness of like what everyone else is feeling about something, and then it
talking about what people are feeling about something. That's FE. Like we're trying to make sure that what he says matches up to the definition that we know for the functions.
Becomes a thing of trying to fit in with that.
So if he's an INFP, he'll be saying different things here. Okay, like you can't get an INFP from being remaining true to who they are with FI. That's just something that they're going to make sure they do. We had an actual great typing video the other day with an INFP, but like I said earlier, they're like, can you not post it? So we're not posting it, but it is a awesome video that shows you like how they want to stay conducive with that identity they see of themselves, and they're never going to kind of buck on that. And for me, I kind of see a lot of times it's kind of silly to me. It's kind of it gets in the way. Like me and my best friend, we get in arguments all the time. She's INFP, and I tell her straight up, what has your morals ever got you? Like shit you do, it takes you fucking forever. I can do it in a split second because you're so moralistic about everything you do. We go like when I got her in the stocks, I'm like, we're buying Raytheon and these war stocks. I can't buy those war stocks. I like, motherfucker, I don't give a shit. It make money. It make fucking money. What are you doing? I can't buy those. So she has to remain consistent with her identity. I'm just like, bro, whatever works, bro. Let's keep it moving.
It's not just an awareness, but it's also like kind of twisting yourself around in order to match the vibes around you. And then also I think I am I do the stratification of the putting things above each other in terms of value.
Right.
I'm doing that all the time, and it's weird because in some ways it feels like I'm just basing it off of what I'm feeling, but when I'm really honest with myself, I'm really easily influenced by everyone else in terms of how I will view things.
Yeah, that sounds very feminine as well.
Oh gosh, it sounds very feminine. Seems very FE oriented. Like they'll match the group around them. Like let's just say if Frank James is around me, Christian or whatever, he may start behaving a little bit differently. Like I'll see that in my buddy CJ. CJ will like kind of take on our shit. Jerry as well. Like Jerry even like tries to like talk like me sometimes. I'm like, Jerry, shut the fuck up, bro. You're not me. Get the fuck out of here. He even like starts talking like me. I'm like, Jerry, get out of here.
You're FE.
Yeah. I would say without a doubt I have feminine FE. So
right. Do you? Okay, let's change it up a bit. What about your TI? Are you using that at all? Like, do you see when that happens?
I have to like make a conscious effort to do that. So
right.
I also, I do sort of see when I am in like demon swings, that's when it comes out.
Okay.
And yeah, it's kind of confusing, I think, because I can tell like when I am in a more, I don't know, when I'm in one of those demon swings, then I just become like super straight to the point and logical about like, no, this is what's going to work. I don't care what you think or feel about it. But also it's sort of like, wouldn't you think that if in those moments where it's a little bit more high pressure, wouldn't you then want to go to your saviors? So that's, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's because I'm being forced to use TI in those situations and it's like, I have to make decisions quick.
Right.
And they have to be based purely on my subjective reasoning and I don't want to do it. And maybe that's what makes me get testy about it,
Yeah. It's also double activated and it's masculine. So it should come out regularly, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a thing. And it is, I think because it's double activated, that does kind of give me a little bit of that IP feeling where I will, like on the surface, I will be like, oh yeah, I love that idea. That's great or whatever. Just to make sure everyone feels good about it. And then on the inside, I'm like that.
Talking about how people feel about it. Yeah, man. He's an FE user. The TI, man. TI is the understanding function, the defining function. It goes with its own subjective reasoning. We'll use syllogisms, if this and that statements. You'll see it come out in their language a lot. Deductive reasoning. As in, and there's problems with that as well. And while TE is more empirical data, okay, books, what some expert says, things like that, like outside sources for knowledge. And it's pretty obvious, like which one does somebody trust more? Do they trust their own thinking, or do they trust books, sources, or that not? And generally, what you'll see people who preference sources a lot. Those are TE users. Like when you say we're following Linda Barrens Interaction, styles, and temperament, that's me referencing a source there, okay? As opposed to like other content creators who probably won't do that. And I think it's kind of bullshit because you got to kind of give that woman credit for the work she's done. And I know it did start with David Keirsey.
It's so stupid. We're not doing it. So yeah. I don't
I have
let
to work really hard to get there.
Yeah.
But I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like in group situations where I have been like like if I have been, like back in college when I would be directing a scene in a class or something, and the actors would have ideas, and I was just like, this is not going to work. This is stupid. On the outside, I would be like, oh my gosh, that would be great. But you know what? We're not going to do that.
So that's like the FE approach, if you see somebody with low FE, they'll just flat out just tell you that's not going to work. But he's trying to spare your feelings.
And it's like, it pains me to have to like put my foot down and be like, no, this is the decision of what's going to work.
Right.
Very feel it was about cooperation. We know this.
It can make me feel. I feel like when I use it, it becomes obvious to me, and I'm like, I'm being so selfish by making these decisions. You know.
Yeah.
So.
But in the end,
FI critic coming out.
And it's selfless because it's for the good of the play. It's like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm able to justify it and be like, everyone will be happy in the end if they go through this pain right now.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Do you feel like you need that validation as well from the tribe? Like that's something that you're chasing?
Oh yeah. 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 That's like my life story. So, in a way, it feels like nothing like in this most unhealthy, like, overblown forms. It's like nothing I do matters unless other people are reacting in a positive emotional way to it.
Wow.
What other people are doing, SE, and a positive emotional response, FE.
Yeah. So, and it can be dangerous to do that because, especially on YouTube, it's dangerous because you get all kinds of people. So you'll always get some validation sometimes, and it can be a hard line to walk when you do a certain video and you have a bunch of people say, this is great, I love this, but then inside I'm like, this is not really how I see things working in the future. Like I'm not sure that this is a long-term
future focus, guys, abstract. We've been beating this shit
term strategy that's going to work for me. So validation is embarrassingly important to me.
That's really cool that you can admit that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, we should all be a little embarrassed when we talk about our type. So
yeah. No, thanks. I appreciate you doing that. When you're sleeping, do you see that you're going over your known information a lot and you're processing it in a more logical way?
Yeah. And that's something that was weird to kind of figure out, is that when I am doing that processing, it is kind of like, it's always logical. It's always like trying to bang blocks together. So, and I would never, even if I had typed myself totally wrong, I think I would have always typed myself as a feeler. I don't think there's any way I would have typed myself as a thinker, but definitely when I am in that processing, it's always trying to get back to some kind of thing that makes sense. Uh-huh. It's never like
things that make sense, TI.
Trying to match it up with my values or anything like that.
Right.
So, and it's interesting.
Not trying to match it up to my values. See, he's not trying to match it up to some FI.
Because if you look at that, the thing that they added recently, where it's like the most activated animal. So with blast, if it's blast, sleep, consume, then sleep would be my most
You're double
prominent. Yeah, my most prominent one, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's very true. So it just I don't know, I just don't feel a need to express it as much. So I guess that's why you don't hear as much, especially, I mean, in my videos, they're also very controlled. So you don't see that TI coming out quite as much in an obvious way.
Well, you see it come out that like you have obviously planned what you're doing, and you do obviously have some kind of TI basis for it all. And now you're just presenting it. You're just playing your character and presenting it in an FE way. But you can see there's an underlying plan and thought behind it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because I feel like there have been times I've done several videos that didn't have a plan, and I was like, yeah, I can wing it. I know this, and they always are like disastrous. Or if I do a video without a plan, it's just something that I know so well that it's planned out up here.
Right.
I've never gone into a video being like, I'll just wing it. I can do this. I mean, with the exception interviews like this,
right.
It's a bit, it's totally a different thing. So I can be like, yeah, the responsibility is on you to have the outline. So for the plan is a very important thing for YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how important it was until I started to realize that was a thing, like with NI. I was like, oh, that's why I'm doing that. So
yeah. So like, I guess that's
certainty. Okay, NI is going to chase certainty. Okay, that's what he's talking about here. NI is going to chase that certainty. We're done here. We got him as an INFJ. Frank James. We went through this religiously. Okay, so what we noticed, and we got a lot of points for it, was journey. Okay, progression, movement, whatever you want to call it. This guy here is journey focused. Okay, we also got FE and TI. Okay, more FE is more pronounced with this guy, and a lot of SE. Okay, he's talking about what other people are doing on YouTube. Why can't he just replicate what they're doing? Of that nature. This guy is abstract. He's very future focused. Okay. He's always talking about what's good for the people. He's the people interest. Okay. He's not systematic. He's affiliative, so he's about cooperation. It's about interdependence. He's not pragmatic. Okay. He's direct. Everything he says is pretty close-ended. I know people are like saying that he rambles, but I think he's just processing that through his TI child. Okay. Or TI in the third slot there, and he's responding. So yeah, Frank James is an INFJ. Okay, I'm hitting for INFJ. Enneagram here. I think I'm gonna go that Frank James is a 6. Okay, I'm here for 6W5. I'm going to hit him I'm between S. I think I'm gonna roll SP, man. I think I'm gonna roll SP here. He's not sexual like the INTJs. The INTJs generally tend to be 6W5 sexual. So they're more fearless. Okay, they don't even notice that they have fear. But the SP people are trying to like build alliances with people. So I'm gonna hit him with SP/social, or he could be a social. It really doesn't matter. But I just lean more SP/SO. And I'm gonna hit him for above average. Okay. He's in the above average INFJ. I could hit him for average, but I'm gonna go above average. Because we have INFJs like Ronaldo, Kurt Cobain, those type of people, Bon Jovi, people of that metrics there. So we're just gonna hit them for above average. I could even drop it down to average INFJ 6W5 SPS. So I really respect his channel and what he's doing, but I just got to be honest. You're not like wowing me when we see the INFJs. But hey, a lot of people are mistyping him as INFP. It was pretty obvious here that this guy is not an INFP. Comment below what you think, and if you came to this analysis. But this is Mongolian Mindset, and we are